Snow falls on Mount Wutai, and the sacred chants within Jinga Temple resonate melodiously, echoing through the hall as if from celestial realm. Bodhisattva Manjushri sits upright on the pavilion, a precious sword by his side, radiating brilliant light in all directions. In the eyes of the worldly, this great sage is renowned for having severed the roots of ignorance and afflictions. Yet what is publicly known is that his insight into worldly wealth possesses a profound wisdom that transcends mundane understandings. Outside the golden pavilion, wind and snow rage together. Inside the hall, sandalwood incense curled in the air, guarded by golden dragons coiling around both shoulders. Auspicious clouds lingered, and the radiant light of precious treasure shimmered. All the monks knew that this was a portent of the arrival of an esteemed guest. Sure enough, not long after, the sound of horse hooves rose, and the wealthiest man in Chang'an, Kuwu, along with his wife Huitong, hurriedly arrived, faces marked by worry and expressions filled with anxiety. The most striking was the brocade box in Huiwu's embrace, continuously emanating a strange light. When he placed the box before the altar of Manjushri Bodhisattva, a wondrous scene unfolded. The lid of the box opened by itself, revealing it filled with gold coins and silver ingots, subtly trembling as if alive, emitting faint, undulating sounds. The Tathagata's disciple has engaged in business for 20 years and amassed great wealth. Recently, strange events have been occurring one after another. At night, the gold and silver in the house emit light by themselves. Copper coins roll together into piles, and jewels arrange themselves into peculiar patterns. The family members claim to have seen ghosts, and the servants have long since scattered. What is even more terrifying is that my business declined overnight. Partners were summoned one after another, as if an invisible hand was controlling everything. The conference staff knelt on the ground, their voices filled with fear and confusion. Huidong added as a side note that what his father said was true. Having witnessed firsthand as if the gold and silver possessed souls, at night they uttered faint, deathly whispers. One night, a pile of silver coins and mirrors arranged in a line of characters. Only the faithless would avoid it. How could these inanimate objects possess such miraculous power? Manjushri Bodhisattva calmly observed the restless gold and silver in the ornate box. After a brief moment of contemplation, he spoke, "Good men, what you are encountering is not the work of ghosts or demons, but the manifestation of the inherent spiritual essence of wealth itself. Wealth possesses a spiritual essence. It can manifest phenomena that shock and defy belief." Indeed, Manjushri Bodhisattva gently caressed the edge of the brocade box, and the restless gold and silver immediately calmed down. All beings in the universe possess sentience, and wealth is no exception. They carry the sweat, tears, laughter, and sighs of countless people. How could they lack perception? It is only that ordinary minds are coarse and shallow, unable to perceive them. Then why do they suddenly manifest their presence? Never before had such a thing occurred, and they stared at the brocade box with bewilderment. The Bodhisattva's gaze is like a burning torch, penetrating the human mind. When the conditions ripen, manifestations naturally arise. In recent years, your honorable father's disposition has undergone a great transformation. However, for the sake of money, he has committed actions that go against his conscience. Upon meeting, his expression suddenly changed. Knowing that he could not conceal the truth, he decided to honestly disclose it. The disciple feels ashamed and acknowledges that, in pursuit of greater profit, he has indeed engaged in deceiving clients, withholding wages, and exploiting others through usurious practices. He once schemed to seize a prized feng shui location and framed an old friend in the process. As soon as the words fell, the gold and silver intensely trembled, emitting a sharp, startling wail that pierced the heart. Wealth is like a mirror, reflecting the heart of a person. Manjushri Bodhisattva sighed and said, "You cultivate evil thoughts with a malicious heart through wealth. They are conveying in their own way that those who betray the trusting will themselves be betrayed, and those who harm others will inevitably suffer harm themselves. Then what should we do? Can this money still be accepted? Turning back, he asked tremulously. Wealth itself is not sinful. The sin lies within the human heart. Manjushri Bodhisattva reached out and gently touched the gold and silver. They immediately calmed and even emitted a gentle radiance. The key lies in whether you can re-establish good karmic connections with them. How can one establish good karmic connections? Kindly, O world-honored one, please compassionately guide me, as I am eager to comprehend. Manjushri Bodhisattva gazed at the snowflakes dancing outside the hall, each one sparkling under the sunlight like pearls scattered between heaven and earth. He slowly began to speak. The way of wealth is as profound as the vast ocean and as mysterious as the secrets of the heavens. If one wishes to cultivate a harmonious karmic relationship with wealth, one must understand the true nature of money and comprehend the principles underlying it. A sudden wondrous scene appeared in the hall. The gold and silver slowly floated up, forming mysterious symbols in the air, then transformed into sparkling golden lights and dispersed. Everyone stood dumbfounded, filled with awe. What is the true nature of wealth? Asked the Buddha, courageously and with a resolute heart. Manjushri Bodhisattva smiled gently, for wealth does not exist independently. It arises through the confluence of various conditions. Each copper coin has passed through countless hands, and every tael of silver carries the hopes and hard work of countless people. They remember every instance of unwavering compassion, as well as every act of plundering greed. Therefore, when I treat them with aversion, they manifest a hostile countenance. Yet their remorse seems to carry a semblance of realization. Indeed, wealth is like water. When it settles in pure energy, it becomes clear. When it settles in impure energy, it becomes turbid. The key does not lie in the wealth itself, but in whether the holder's mind is pure and serene. At that moment, a clear and melodious sound of bells came from outside the temple. Manjushri Bodhisattva rose and looked outside, seeing a caravan passing in front of the temple, fully loaded with goods. The sound of horse bells was especially melodious in the snow. Observe the caravan, laden with abundant wealth and goods. Yet the horse bells ring in harmony, allowing all to enjoy peace and contentment. Why? Because of their business integrity and the good karma of financial purity. Therefore, what it brings is not suffering, but harmony. So, how can one form a positive affinity with wealth? Huitong asked thoughtfully. Manjushri Bodhisattva returned to the lotus seat, his demeanor solemn and dignified. The profound mysteries contained therein cannot be fully expressed in a few words. Ancient sages and venerable ancestors passed down a few true sayings, specifically teaching later generations how to harmoniously coexist with wealth, allowing wealth to become a cause for cultivating virtue and benefiting all beings. Sudden realization brings great joy beyond expectations. Thus, the Blessed One taught this sacred mantra. Manjushri Bodhisattva shook his head, saying that this mantra is profoundly mysterious and extraordinary. It must be practiced in connection with its appropriate context in order to be upheld properly. Since you have encountered the miraculous manifestation of wealth, it must have arisen from this cause and condition. However, he mistakenly regards the quiet gold and silver in the ornate box as the true treasure. Before imparting the mantra, it is necessary first to have your sincere hearts. Speak, he said, stretching out his hand and pointing. The gold and silver in the brocade box rose once again, slowly rotating in the air, forming a wondrous mandala. Amidst the brilliant golden light, faint glimpses of ancient characters shimmered briefly before vanishing. Huigua and Huitong became deeply engrossed, their minds ignited with a strong yearning. These riches, in the hands of Bodhisattva Manjushri, are so obedient and even appear joyful, forming a striking contrast to the restlessness displayed before them. Just as the father and son were filled with eager anticipation, Manjushri Bodhisattva suddenly fell into silence. He was seen closing his eyes for a long time, as if communicating with the intangible wisdom. After a while, he opened his eyes, which seemed to glimmer with stars. These 4 mantras are the crystallization of the wisdom of Buddhas of the 3 times, not easily comprehended by ordinary people. Since you have encountered each other through karmic affinity, you are endowed with this merit and blessing. However, it must be understood that although wealth can bring worldly convenience, if not used in accordance with the righteous path, it becomes a cause of downfall. Suddenly, waves of Sanskrit chants echoed from outside the main hall, resonating like heavenly music reverberating through the clouds. Everyone looked toward the door, but saw no one chanting sutras. Yet the sacred Sanskrit sounds seemed to emanate from the void, solemn and mysterious. Manjushri Bodhisattva smiled gently as he looked at the father and son. This is the blessing of the 3 jewels, showing your profound karmic connection. Each of these 4 sacred phrases embodies profound wisdom for skillfully relating to wealth. Bodhisattva Manjushri returned to the lotus seat, sitting cross-legged, with golden radiance surrounding his body, shining even more brilliantly red. He gazed intently at Master Huiwu and his son, articulating each word carefully. The first sacred mantra is truly for all sentient beings, not for oneself alone. Huitong did not understand, saying, "Since it is the money I have earned, why is it said that it does not solely belong to me?" Good man, what you have obtained is actually the result of the confluence of many causes and conditions. The farmer cultivates the grain, allowing you to satisfy your hunger and engage in commerce. A craftsman creates tools, enabling their use. Through the exchange of goods and services with customers, you can achieve profit. Nothing exists without depending on sentient beings for its existence. Although self is named as yours, in reality it is shared by all sentient beings. Those who understand this principle constantly cultivate a heart of gratitude, delight in practicing without faltering, and experience their wealth flowing like living water, increasing the more it is used. The second mantra, generosity brings wealth. Only through attachment to greed can one manage oneself. This is the true principle of cause and effect. Many people mistakenly believe that giving alms is a loss, unaware that almsgiving is actually the cause of gaining. Just as a farmer sows seeds, once they leave his hands, the granary is filled with abundant green sprouts. Giving is the same. By giving one gains 10. By giving 10, one gains 100. The more one clings to greed, the more one loses it like grains of sand slipping through the fingers. With a nod of understanding, he recalled the joy of past almsgiving, vividly contrasting it with the pain of stinginess and hoarding experienced in recent years. He began to realize in his heart that giving is not a loss, but a greater gain. The third mantra, with a kind heart towards wealth, wealth possesses sentient qualities and meaning. Although wealth is inherently impersonal, when it circulates among sentient beings, it naturally acquires an aura of emotional attachment. Treat wealth with a kind heart, cherishing it as one would a friend without attachment or greed. Naturally, wealth will be inclined to come close. If one treats it with aversion, seeing it as everything, or disregards it as nothing, and regards wealth and possessions with this aversion, naturally one will keep a distance from them. A sudden profound realization, understanding it just like that. No wonder the more tightly I grasp money, the less money I have. The fourth mantra, conditions come together in the world. Follow them without attachment or force. The voice of Bodhisattva Manjushri is as cool and refreshing as nectar. All phenomena arise dependent on causes and conditions, and cease when causes and conditions cease. Wealth is flammable. It naturally accumulates when karmic conditions are ripe and naturally disperses when such conditions fade. The wise person follows the conditions and causes, rejoicing when appropriate, and accepting losses with equanimity when necessary. Without arising in lamentation or generating hatred. With a peaceful mind, one is more likely to attract legitimate wealth. These 4 mantras resound like thunder, causing one to weep profusely. The disciple understands that in the past, attachment to wealth was like life itself, plagued by anxiety over gains and losses, which in turn obstructed the flow of prosperity. Through the guidance of the 10 revered ones, it was understood that the true path to wealth lies in the cultivation of the mind. Manjushri Bodhisattva smiled and gently clapped his hands. Well done. These 4 mantras are not mystical incantations, but reveal the objective laws governing the flow of wealth. Wealth has its own law of circulation, just as water has its flow. When it is followed smoothly, it flows freely, but when resisted, it becomes blocked. One should kneel down and repent. The disciple, out of ignorance, believes that money is an inanimate object that can be used at will. Only now do I realize that there is such profound wisdom in how one relates to money and wealth. Venerable One, how should I begin to practice these 4 sacred phrases? Starting from the present moment, use every penny with a heart of gratitude. Be grateful to the merchant when shopping, grateful to the recipient when giving, and grateful to the giver when receiving. May every flow of wealth be accompanied by goodwill and blessings. Over time, your relationship with wealth will inevitably improve. Manjushri Bodhisattva paused for a moment and continued, saying more profoundly, these 4 lines of the mantra actually teach us how to establish a proper relationship with all things in existence. Wealth is just one element. The same 4 guiding principles can be applied to reputation, status, emotions, and health. Because the essence of all dharmas is interconnected, all arise from dependent origination, each possessing its own spiritual nature, and all require to be treated with a compassionate mind. The light inside the hall gradually softened, and Huewu still harbored some doubt. Why do wealth and money possess spiritual qualities according to the Buddha? It is nothing more than an object made of metal or paper. Bodhisattva Manjushri rose and walked to a golden Buddha statue, gently touching one of the statue's feet. Upon first sight of this Buddha statue, one wonders what makes it so special. Although it is cast from gold and bronze, why does it astonish the multitude? Because it embodies the sincere faith of countless sentient beings, the merit of the devotees, and the devoutness of Buddhism. It manifests spiritual presence. Wealth is easily consumed by fire, passing through countless hands, carrying the sweat, tears, joy, hope, and happiness of innumerable sentient beings, yet it inherently lacks any spiritual essence. He turned towards the Father and Son, the light of wisdom in his eyes even brighter, and further explained that from the perspective of the Dharma, all phenomena are manifestations of the mind. The arising and passing away, gathering and dispersing of wealth fundamentally reflect the changes in the goodness and evilness of the human heart. A kind heart attracts good fortune, while a wicked heart attracts misfortune. Practitioners understand this principle, therefore they can improve their financial fortune through the practice of cultivating the mind. Huidong sighed, realizing that wealth and cultivation are so closely connected. I used to focus on the trees and miss the forest. Bodhisattva Manjushri smiled gently and said, "Well done. Your awakening marks a significant step forward. It must be understood that true wealth lies not in the quantity, but in the skillful and proper use of it. A person who can skillfully use 10 taels of silver is wealthier than one who squanders 1,000 taels of gold, because the former has a harmonious and sustainable relationship with wealth, while the latter has an antagonistic and destructive relationship with wealth. The serene chime of the golden pavilion's bell resonates, marking the end of the day. As the sun sets in the west, the evening glow reflects off the temple's glazed tiles, enveloping the entire monastery in a serene golden light. Manjushri Bodhisattva gazes toward the vast, distant mountains, uniting with all sentient beings in mind. If one can truly comprehend and practice these 4 mantras, not only will wealth flow abundantly, but the process of utilizing that wealth will itself become a field of cultivation. Every transaction is a non-loss. Every gain is an expression of gratitude. Every loss is an act of letting go, and every possession is a moment of cherishing. In this way, wealth not only does not become an obstacle to practice, but rather serves as a supportive condition for the growth of wisdom and the accumulation of merit. The deep integration of understanding and comprehension dispels all doubts in the heart, replaced by an unprecedented clarity and joy. They understand that what they have gained today is not merely a secret to attracting wealth, but a profound wisdom of life. From this moment onward, they will approach wealth, life, and spiritual practice with a completely renewed mindset. The gold and silver in the jeweled box shimmered softly in the twilight's afterglow, no longer restless, no longer lamenting, as if they too sensed the transformation in their master's mind. Manjushri Bodhisattva finally began to say, "Remember, wealth is like a mirror that reveals the heart of a person. Those who calm their minds find their wealth naturally pure. Those who covet wealth have minds tainted by defilements." These four mantras are truly methods for calming the mind. After calming the mind, what can one fail to obtain? What wish cannot be fulfilled? The sound of the ritual bells resounded once more, even more melodious and enchanting, as if offering the most solemn conclusion to this teaching. Huiwu and his son left Kinkakaji with hearts full of gratitude, deeply remembering the four true sayings that transformed their destiny and began a new chapter in their lives. Upon returning to Chang'an, Huigu immediately began to practice the teachings of Bodhisattva Manjushri. He first visited the clients he had previously deceived to apologize and compensate them for their losses, then recovered the wages withheld from the workers and gave additional rewards. More importantly, he took the initiative to seek out the old friend who had been wrongfully accused, approached him with sincerity, and asked for forgiveness. At first, people were surprised and skeptical about the change in his gatherings. But over time, his sincerity and transformation earned everyone's understanding and respect. What is even more astonishing is that as Huiwu's mindset transformed, his financial fortune also began to improve. Those former partners who had betrayed him sought collaboration again, new business opportunities emerged one after another, and old clients returned in droves. Huidong followed his father's footsteps and began practicing the four mantras. He understood the nature of wealth and the law of its circulation, no longer considering money as something to be possessed, but as the result of the coming together of various conditions. Every time he gains a profit, he sets aside a portion to perform acts of kindness to make amends. In every transaction, he upholds the principle of honesty. With every gain and loss, he accepts them calmly, free from greed and anger. The most miraculous thing is that the gold and silver in the home no longer exhibit any unusual phenomena. The money, once restless and unsettled, now remains calm and harmonious. When used for good deeds, it even emits a subtle, auspicious light, creating a relaxed and harmonious atmosphere within the household. The servants gradually returned, and the family enterprise flourished day by day. On a spring day, 3 years later, Huigu and Huitong returned to Jin's temple on Mount Wutai to report their experiences and insights to Bodhisattva Manjushri. When they entered the main hall, they were surprised to find that Bodhisattva Manjushri seemed to have been waiting for a long time. Bhagwan, by practicing these four true phrases according to your teachings, not only have we restored the mind's web, but more importantly, our mental state has undergone a profound transformation. Now we understand that wealth is not the goal, but a tool and means for practice, which should not be spoken of disrespectfully. Bodhisattva Manjushri nodded with satisfaction. Well said. Your ability to attain such understanding is truly due to your inherent good roots. What is even more precious is that you have not only understood the literal meaning of these four sacred verses, but have also realized the profound practice wisdom embedded within them. Yes, the universal truth applies to all paths. We find that these four sacred verses are not only applicable to wealth, but also to all aspects of life. Whether in interpersonal relationships, academic cultivation, or physical and mental health, these four principles can serve as a guide. Manjushri Bodhisattva teaches that it is exactly so. These four verses of truth, though seemingly concerned with greed for wealth, actually reveal the essence of all dharmas. They are shared by all beings, not possessed individually. They teach us to understand the principle of dependent origination and emptiness, advising against greed for wealth, for attachment leads to separation. They instruct us on the law of cause and effect, encouraging kindness toward possessions, which have their own relationships. They illuminate the principle of the mutual influence between mind and matter. When conditions converge in the world, follow the flow without force, revealing the profound truth of impermanence and non-self. These four sentences essentially encapsulate the essence of the entire Dharma. Upon sudden profound realization, it is no wonder that after practicing these four true phrases, not only does our fortune improve, but our entire life becomes smooth and unobstructed, with a heart filled with joy and peace. Bodhisattva Manjushri meaningfully said, "Wealth is merely an external thing. The mind is the fundamental essence. When your mind is purified, it naturally attracts the wealth of tranquility. When your mindset is right, you will naturally be able to wisely use wealth. This is true prosperity." Huitong could not help but ask, "Shakyamuni, can these four true sayings be widely disseminated so that more people may benefit?" Manjushri Bodhisattva pondered for a moment and replied, "This Dharma gate appears simple, but is actually profound. Without proper understanding, one may misunderstand it throughout their entire life. For example, some may believe that simply giving alms will bring wealth, and thus give with a heart of greed, which actually goes against the true meaning of the mantra. For example, some may misunderstand talents as offerings to sentient beings as a denial of private ownership, or misinterpret yielding without insistence as passive laziness. Both are not the right path. Then how should this wisdom be propagated?" Huiwu asked sincerely. "Leading by example is the most effective way of spreading the Dharma." Bodhisattva Manjushri compassionately said, "You have already verified the efficacy of these four true phrases. Now you can subtly influence others through your words, deeds, and the implied meaning conveyed silently. When they see your harmonious relationship with wealth, they will naturally develop curiosity and aspiration. Offering guidance at the appropriate moment enhances the effect." Huigu and Huitong respectfully accepted the guidance of Bodhisattva Manjushri. Determined to integrate this wisdom into every aspect of life and to demonstrate its value and power through practical actions. At the moment of parting, Manjushri Bodhisattva added, "Remember, wealth is like water. It can carry a boat or capsize it. If used wisely, it leads to the accomplishment of the Dharma path. If forgotten, it results in sinking into the sea of suffering. The key lies in your mind. By maintaining a heart of gratitude, compassion, and wisdom, wealth naturally becomes a supportive source on your path of practice rather than an obstacle." The father and son deeply bowed their heads in reverence, bid farewell to Bodhisattva Manjushri, and returned to the mundane world filled with profound wisdom and enlightenment. From that moment onward, they not only became successful merchants, but also wise and compassionate practitioners, spreading the teachings of Bodhisattva Manjushri to more destined individuals, helping them establish a proper relationship with wealth and attain genuine prosperity and freedom. It is said that many years after their passing, the people of Chang'an City could still hear the echoes of those four true words late at night, like celestial sounds, guiding them on the path toward wisdom and enlightenment, meant for all beings, not for oneself alone. Clinging to wealth without losing it is selfish greed. With a kind heart towards wealth, wealth is regarded with affection. When conditions come together and disperse, Go with the flow without forceful attachment. These 4 sentences, transcending time and space, have guided countless individuals in finding balance and harmony between wealth and spiritual practice, becoming a part of Chinese wisdom, and continue to shine with eternal brilliance to this